past couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of attacks on indie and AA developers, and it all feels very intentional. Like there are individuals within the video game industry who want these companies to go under. And now we are seeing another new wave of attacks, not only on Larian, but on Sandfall Interactive because of their use of AI. And a former Larian employee is claiming SA and fascists at the workplace. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, anybody who's watching this video, you could technically be labeled a fascist now because according to former Larian employees, watching videos of anybody who is not specifically on the left makes you a terrible person. So let's start off with this Hash Bandicoot. Hey, Fever Ray on Blue Sky, a former Larian employee, had posted this giant thread about all of the problems that they faced at Larian allegedly. Feels like a good time to talk about when Larian employed an outright fascist and refused to fire him. So right off the bat, we are saying I am jumping on the Larian hate bandwagon. We had seen a report come out from Jason Schreier, and he has been raked across the coals for it, but he was talking to Larian about their use of AI, and he left out a lot of details in the basically TLDR version. There are individuals on social media who ran with it and who were attacking them based on their use of AI. And the same thing has been happening with Sandfall Interactive. They previously had used placeholder textures and images during the development process. They edited them out when the game had come out, and they had apologized. And there is a big difference between using AI as a tool versus replacing human beings with AI, but these individuals just say any use of AI makes you a terrible person. We need to boycott your projects, which I guess you're going to be boycotting a lot in the future. But this big report on AI usage at these companies had come out, and it led to a firestorm on social media, and that's why this person is now coming out with this story. Over COVID, one of our engineers was radicalized. Next time we saw him, he was watching Tim Pool videos in office and telling us about cultural Marxism at works, drinks, the whole 9 yards. After a while, he had a little cohort of freaks that shared some of his sentiments. So if you watch Tim Pool, you're a freak now. If you have an opinion that is different from theirs, you are labeled a freak. These people are supposed to be part of the quote-unquote tolerant left. They are supposed to be all for diversity and inclusivity, I suppose, until it comes down to diversity of thought and opinion. That's where they draw the line, guys. Folks went to Sven and then he said, hey, this guy is a weirdo fascist. He's making everyone uncomfortable. He's at odds with the team's values. You are the one who decided to label this person this terrible thing because you personally didn't like their viewpoint. His response, he's invaluable to the team. It's too hard to replace him this close to release. And then they go on to say that he was constantly being a bigot, and hanging out at lunch now sucks because of these guys bringing their bigotry, like complaining that Aragorn is black in the new MTG crossover set. And then there's a lot of minorities on the team, yet bigots around in the studio. He's happy to profit off of them, making a woke game while letting bigots endanger minorities in his studio. My worst experience as a trans woman was shortly after coming out in work. One of the other office weirdos and sexual harassment aficionado, a current CDPR employee, walked past me in the office one day. He makes a weird remark about my breasts and then, to confirm something, grabs my crotch in the middle of the office. Now, they are saying that they did not report it. They are saying that they did not actually take any action over this, and this is why I do not believe them. Maybe this happened, and it would be terrible if it did. This is not what should be happening in office, but if you don't report something, I am sorry. I am not going to instantly believe you unless you have some sort of proof on the matter. If somebody did that to me, you bet your bottom dollar I would be reporting it. You bet your bottom dollar I would speak about it. I would not sit on that information for who knows how long. It could be years at this point. They don't specify when exactly this happened during their tenure at the company, but wow. Is this an insane claim to make with absolutely nothing to back it up. And let me just clarify that I'm not even the biggest fan of Larian, and I'm not even the biggest fan of Sven. I don't think that he's an amazing CEO. I did not personally enjoy the direction that they went in with Baldur's Gate 3 because I felt like it was such a major departure from Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and really it highlights the problem with modern day Dungeons and Dragons and a lot of fantasy where they decide to go in this like goofy modern audience direction. But I do understand a lot of people like that game. I personally did not. But at the same time, these accusations cannot go unchecked. And this entire situation where all of these companies now that are indie and AA are being untargeted can't go ignored. This entire situation to me seems like a genuine harassment campaign. Because they don't like what Larian's CEO is saying about AI, they want to now target his company. It's almost like they want his public image to be ruined. They want him ousted. And so they're going to make all these wild accusations. They're going to make all of these claims, and they are going to demonize him time and time and time again, as they have been doing with even the Lords of the Fallen CEO recently. This all is happening very quickly, and in my opinion, it is targeted. It is happening for a very specific reason. We have gotten to the point in the world where anybody can make any sort of claim, and it is hard to believe them at this point because it seems that they have a very specific reason to try to ruin this person's image because they disagree with them politically. So, yes, I am going to say it would be absolutely horrific if that happened, but at the same time, you are not providing any shred of information that actually points to this happening. And you are actively admitting that you wanted this person fired because you didn't like their opinion. We should not be hiring people based on their political viewpoints, and we should not be firing people based on their political viewpoints. Political viewpoint conformity shouldn't be a requirement within these companies, and the fact that you want people fired because they are not sitting here feeding into your delusions is wild. But this is not the only person that has come forward with a story, because apparently Zoe Quinn is now throwing her 2 cents into the conversation. Everyone is more or less okay with it. Dude, you make people immigrate to work there because you don't do remote work. They risk having to change countries if they disagree with it. I know this is because they tried to recruit me and I strongly considered it, but they're also do an unpaid writing test where you also have to make it playable company, so that's not something I vibe with. Again, I say, how effing interesting that remote work technology is bad and not worth adopting despite all research pointing to productivity gains, but Gen AI, which offers nothing, is so important to adopt and force on people who have no use for it despite all the horrible things Gen AI does. Anyway, sorry if you're a Larian dev and have to deal with your CEO publicly saying you're cool with AI use. I'd be losing my damn mind. So now we have person after person after person coming out and openly attacking Larian. And it's not even just Larian that is facing accusations right now. It's also Sandfall Interactive, because they previously had, yes, used AI textures in the development process and also placeholder images, which they replaced with images created by their artists right after the game came out. And apparently now companies are being canceled due to using placeholder images. I understand there are some people out there who do not support AI use at all whatsoever. I have always held the opinion that AI is a fine tool, but it should not be used as a replacement for human beings. And we're not at that point in the video game industry where it's becoming this major problem, though. There are going to be individuals that blow everything out of proportion, and now it's like, oh my gosh, we all have to jump on the hating these companies bandwagon, and it just feels very intentional to me, this timing where you have the most indie games being nominated at the Game Awards, you have Sandfall Interactive's Expedition 33 sweeping. It just seems that, yes, we are at a point where there is sort of a war within this industry against indies and double A's versus triple A's. And, well, these people that do not like every single thing that a company does is willing to come out and now try to bury them. Of course, take everything with a hefty grain of salt. This individual, Hash Bandicoot, previously also worked on Mind's Eye, which was a god awful title. But yeah, a lot of gamers are saying, is there really any proof that any of this happened? Hash Bandicoot sounds like they are totally grounded in reality. Like complaining Aragorn is black in the new MTG crossover set Base Department is calling fascists because Tim Pool, in pointing out race swaps are racist, this person is a tool and I don't believe them for 1 second that anyone grabbed their crotch. He publicly grabbed my crotch at the office is like those Duke lacrosse boys ard me in public at their frat house. Stories like this are basically never true. BS claims and such that are dropping because of what Larian is going through and discussing AI. This is a Marxist infiltration 101. Oh yeah, these people are cultural Marxists, plain and simple. They're trying to oust him out of fear. They don't want a super BG3 with zero external influence to exist. It's an existential threat socially and economically. Stop it, I already love Larian. No need to convince me further. Fascists, aka normal people who don't like freakos. Yeah, if you only believe that there are two genders because there are only two genders, you are a disgusting, degenerate, isterphobe to these individuals. But apparently watching Tim Pool videos is radicalizing you, and thinking that race swaps are not okay in entertainment makes you a terrible person, according to this individual. But this all really stems from the AI discussion, and now we're seeing all of these attacks on all of these different studios simply because they said that they would use AI in some capacity, and that means that the outrage mob is trying to attack them tooth and nail. But I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this situation. I haven't seen any more details come out about this absolutely wild story, and I doubt they'll make another statement. And of course, Zoe Quinn is on the attack. She's always desperate for attention, and this time she's putting her 2 cents into the conversation about Larian and Sandfall that nobody asks for. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.